Today I have my hands on this, the Voge DS900X. Now on the face of things, this bike has everything you could want, everything we've been asking for. It's cheap and it's got an absolute bucket load of kit. Now, it's so cheap in fact, it's cheaper than your Triumph Tiger, it's cheaper than your Transalp, it's cheaper than your V-Strom, it's even cheaper than the BMW F900 GS, which just so happens to share the same engine as this. However, this offers something that the rest do not. All this kit, all this technology as standard, ready to go, off you go. But is it too good to be true? Is there any compromise to it? We're going to take a look. I'm Liam and this is Moto Planet. So we're going to take a look at the stats of the bike, and then we're going to go for a first ride, and then we're going to go through all the fancy little trick bits that this bike has to offer. Now then, it is an 895cc parallel twin. It has 95 brake horsepower at 8,250 RPM, 91 Newton meters of torque at 6,000 RPM. It weighs 235 kilos wet. You've got a 17 litre fuel tank, and you're going to get between 41 and 51 miles to the gallon, looking at around 150 to 180 miles to the tank. Right, that is the stats out of the way. Let's go back in time and have a look at my first ride. Huge shout out to Chester Road Motorcycles, a brand new dealership opened up in Shotton. Absolutely worth checking them out. Let's go. I'm now in road mode. Let's get my bearings. So far it feels really nice. Clutch is nice, the throttle, a little bit snatchy, but it's comfy. Making a few bumps, it seems to be all right. Hit this bump now, soaks it up nicely. Some more feedback in the indicator switch would be nice if I'm nitpicking. Yeah, she's torquey. It's got fully adjustable suspension, front and back. Now obviously it's not the most flickable because it is quite a weighty bike. But I have to say, still pretty damn nimble. It also has a slipper clutch, so downshifts are lovely and smooth. We've also got, look at that, I don't know if you noticed there, 31.9 psi at the front, 40.6 at the rear. Tyre pressure monitor. We are in sport mode and I want to see what she's got, so it is a bit, not too bad. There's a bit of dive, not too bad. A little bit snatchy, but sport mode. So there's one question, let's face it, that everybody asks when it comes to the Chinese bike. The question is, are we getting all of this lovely super duper tech and kit at the expense of a little bit of quality? You know, are there corners being cut? I'll be honest, so far I have to say there's not a great deal that I feel like I'm missing. Clutch is nicely weighted, the brakes feel okay. That's quite interesting actually. So I'm in sport mode, and if you're just pulling along nicely at about 1,000 reps and you just creep up gradually into about 2,500 and keep going, it sort of snatches a little bit. Oh yeah, she pulls well, I will say. I'll be honest, I'm really impressed with how well that suspension. It's not leaving me nervous. I've got loads of feedback through the front, through the rear. It's a little bit weightless at the front every now and then. You do have to be careful coming out of the corners. Make sure you are standing the bike up straight because it does get quite light. It doesn't feel like a cheap bike. Even the switchgear, I mean, let's face it, switchgear on a Yamaha or even the new Hondas, it's not all that great. But then how much quality are you looking for? I don't mind cheap bits of this if I can get heated grips. I don't know about you guys, but hell, I'll sacrifice something for something. Let's have a little bit of a summary. Handling, nice. Not too heavy, not too light. Absolutely fine. Brakes, okay. I prefer a little bit more. The quick shifter works nicely. Sounds good. The clutch, slipper clutch works absolutely brilliantly. See, that is usually a really, really horrible piece of road. I'm genuinely really impressed with the suspension. Still got the indicator on, absolute rookie. Still in sport mode, I'm not having any problems with it. I wonder if it's just something you get used to as well. There's so much kit on this bike. Why wouldn't you buy one? Do put in the comments, what's stopping you from buying one of these, for example. Also, I want to point out, it's not actually that vibey either. Obviously with twins, you do get a lot of vibration. There's a slight buzz through the handlebars, but I am sitting in full. Foot pegs are absolutely smooth as butter. Sitting around 50 to 60 in fourth is an absolute breeze.
You reckon?
I'm really impressed. It doesn't feel cheap, it doesn't feel plasticky, it doesn't feel knocky, it doesn't feel like how you'd expect it to feel. The engine's lovely, full of character. A lot of people say it's snatchy, I think it's playful. Not a bad little bike.
So, as far as first impressions go, and obviously actively trying to find that compromise that surely comes with such a thing that's too good to be true, I'm really struggling to find it. The suspension, for example, handles really well. It's fully adjustable. I've looked out today, I feel like it's suited to me pretty well. My weight, the way I ride. Obviously, if it's not suited to you, it's adjustable. So, sorted, that's fine. It held its line, it absorbed the bumps, it wasn't crashy, it wasn't spongy, it was just, felt perfect, if you ask me. Not too dissimilar to how the Transalp felt, but only this is a little bit more playful. It feels a bit more perky. Of course, that's partly due to the engine. Now, yes, it's the same engine as in the F900GS from BMW, but it's also a parallel twin, as is the Transalp. But the Transalp was almost so well refined that it just didn't have that playful character, it didn't have that exuberance of a little play, you know? This, however, it does. It's got that rough around the edges, it's got that character that I quite like from a bike. For example, you put it in sport mode, yes, a lot of people have complained that it is snatchy, but they're going to do that in sport mode. That's the responsiveness of that mode. Road or rain, problem's gone, sorted. Between about 40 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour in fourth gear, that's the sweet spot. Loads of torque at the bottom, just to squirt you out that corner and then on to the next one. It tips into the corners, it's nice and smooth, you haven't got to work it too hard. The weight is quite high, but nonetheless, it doesn't take any enjoyment out of working the bike through the corners. It's obviously not as flickable as a super sport or a naked bike because, well, that's not what it is. The brakes, they're good, they do the job. The clutch isn't too heavy, it isn't too light, and the feedback through the gears, absolutely lovely. It feels solid, it doesn't feel cheap. And that's what we've been conditioned to think when we come to these bikes. When we ride them, we think they're just going to be cheap. And this is cheap, but it's cheerful. Now, before we unpack the abundance of tech that this bike does have, I want to talk briefly on how it looks and the styling of it. And if you ask me, I think it looks fantastic. It looks aggressive, and that is something that I found missing with the Transalp, for example. It was a bit boring, it was a bit bland. This, however, not so much. Although, it does look a little bit like a duck. Also, something that's caught my eye, and it's quite distracting from these beautiful gold wheels, we do have rusty nuts. Now, for context, this is a demo bike, which means it's been ridden through the winter. Obviously, it's had the rain and the salt, and it's given a bit of rust. Obviously, if you're buying an adventure bike, you're probably going to be riding it through the same conditions. So, with that in mind, is that our first sign of a bike built to a budget? Now the features, and I want to remind you again, these are all standard with the bike. So you've got a quick shifter, it's keyless, you've got a 7-inch TFT display. From that display, you can go through your rider modes. You can also check your tyre pressures thanks to these posh little valves down on the wheels. You've got heated grips, you've got a heated seat, you've got cruise control, you've even got blind spot assist. Little light in the wing mirror lights up and there's somebody over your shoulder. You've also got a 6-axis IMU for your corner and ABS, and this is a big one, integrated spotlights. Now, a lot of brands will charge you an arm and a leg for that. Now, some of the standout features on this bike for me. If you find that it's got a bit soft at the rear, twist the knob and it'll stiffen right up. Also, nice convenient 12-volt charger here, and on the left we have a charger for USB-C and USB-A. Very convenient. And finally, this is a feature that not a lot of people would expect to see on a bike that costs less than £10,000. It is, of course, the dash cam. Now, I tried to set up said dash cam and demonstrate it on my phone. Unfortunately, ran into a few problems, scanned the QR code as I was supposed to, but it came up with an error saying not compatible. Now, bit of a nuisance, and I'm sure it can be done, but one thing I do know, not very user-friendly. Is that another sign of a bike built to a budget? On to comfort and quality. So, what's it like to sit on, and can you get your feet down? Now then, the seat height on this is 825mm. I am 6 foot with a shoe on, and as you can see, I can in fact get the balls of my toes to the ground. As for the cockpit, got nice wide handlebars. A couple of things I wasn't too happy about. I found the seat to be quite firm. I also found that my weight was sort of leant over a little bit and it sort of put a bit of pressure on my lower back. Now the switchgear is exactly as you'd expect. You've got every button you need. You've even got a funky little button behind here that takes a snapshot through the dash cam. Now there are a couple things that I don't particularly like about the switchgear, and that is, first of all, I don't like where the rider mode button is. I prefer that to be on the left, just because that's where my free hand is, but this isn't unique to this particular bike. Lots of bikes have it. I also wish the buttons were, I wish they had a little bit more feedback to them. It's not always obvious you've pushed the buttons, especially if you've got gloves. Quality. Now, as this bike is so cheap, you'd think that maybe this is where the compromise lies. Maybe this is where the bike is built to a budget, but it's not. Everything still feels like a really good quality motorbike. Your wing mirrors, they're solid. You've got your hand guards here, they're solid. You've got a shroud there, even the number plate at the back. Usually that's got a lot of wibble. You've got your indicators here. Now, I had the NT09 and even they had a lot of flex, way more than that, and they squeaked. These, not solid. Even the feedback through the brakes, everything on the bike is built really well. Now this is the part of the video where we turn the bike on, give it a rev, so you guys at home can listen to it. But before we do that, I want to tell you about a new feature that is on motorplanet.co.uk. If you go onto the website and you're not sure what parts you want to fit to your bike, what accessories are available, nice and easy now, type in your registration and it will show you everything that's there for your bike. Simple. But back to this bike. What does it sound like? Well, spoiler alert, it sounds like a twin. Nice. It's very throaty. There's a lot of noise coming from the engine block, but nonetheless, give it a 3 out of 5. Now we've had the first ride and we've had a walk around the bike. Now let's go for a second ride. And I want to explore a little bit more the reasons why you would want to consider buying the bike and why maybe you wouldn't even give it a second thought. I'm going to get my helmet and off we go.
I want to talk about a few things. One thing I noticed, obviously moving it around in the lay-by a lot, it is a bit of a unit to move about. I don't know what it is about it, but I found it a lot more difficult to push this thing around than I did with, say, the Africa Twin. The next one I want to talk about, reasons to buy it and reasons not to buy it. So first things first, why wouldn't you buy it? Well, I think a lot of people have got the stigma. It's Chinese. Oh, I'd rather buy a different bike because it'll be better in the long run. And that, you know, I'm not saying that's not the case, but I have seen Japanese bikes that have otherwise been considered as good quality bikes to rust. I've also seen them to fail. So it does happen. And the thing about these Chinese bikes is we haven't really given them the time of day to prove themselves, and we will see over time. They offer a good warranty. I am truly blown away at the quality of the bike. It doesn't feel cheap. I've heard a few people complain about the switch gear, but in all honesty, I think the switch gear on the Hornet is arguably just as poor, if you could say so. The only reason you wouldn't buy something like this is, well, put it frankly, is if you're a brand snob. Also, actually, there's a good point. It's only fair that I mention resale value, because that is a genuine concern, because these Chinese bikes, the market isn't that great for them. Maybe it's getting better. Obviously, it is absolutely phenomenal value for money. I've not really had much bother with the screen per se. I found it to work okay. I would buy it if I was on a really tight budget and it had to be brand new. I'm really excited to see where these bikes are in a few years' time.
So I've been with the bike all day and I've been actively trying to figure out what the compromise is. It's so cheap and there's so much bike for so little cost. Surely there's a compromise somewhere. And honestly, I'm struggling to find it. Okay, fair enough. Something might come out of the woodworks after longer periods of ownership. Maybe. You tell me in the comments if you've had one of these for a while. Who knows? But on the face of things, it doesn't get much better than this. It performs well. It's comfortable, albeit a little bit of a firm seat. But what bike doesn't have a firm seat? It handles well. The engine performs well. It sounds okay. It's got all the kit and tech that you could ever want from it. It's even got a warranty that's better than a lot of its counterparts. If you ask me, the only reason why you wouldn't strongly consider buying one of these bikes is because you're a brand snob, myself included. So I think if you can get past that stigma and these can finally prove themselves over a longer period of time, these could be a solid contender. And with that, thanks for watching. I'm Liam, this is Motor Planet. Ta-da.